Lassiter Factor.
What's up, all my movie-loving maniacs? This your boy, Bangful B of the Lassiter Factor, and with Terminator 2 getting a re-release this weekend, I wanted to go back and rewatch that first film to prep for this film, so let's get into it. The Terminator came out in 1984, and it is about Sarah Connor, who is being hunted by a humanoid cyborg from the future that is ordered to assassinate her before she gives birth to her unborn son, who is the leader of the resistance against the machines. Now, as far as my history with this franchise as a whole, well, I love those first two movies. Everything else after that is hit or miss for me. I put the Terminator franchise on the same trajectory as the Alien movies. Those first two films are amazing, and then everything else after that just kind of took a dip in quality. But let's just stick to the first Terminator. I love the second movie more, but I'll always have a spot in my heart for this film right here. It is truly a classic, not just within the 80s, it is a classic within the action genre. But what's so unique about that first film is that it is a sci-fi horror film in aesthetic and tone. And I just love how, even watching with adult eyes, that first film set up so much, and yet the film still felt like a complete story and could still stand on its own. Now, this movie is directed by James Cameron. It's one of his earlier films, and you don't need me to tell you the impact he's made on the film industry itself. And for me personally, I've liked most of his films. I mean, for me, it's Terminator 2, then Aliens, then Titanic, and then the first Terminator, and then everything else after that is up for grabs. But for me, that first Terminator film is James Cameron's true coming out party in terms of showing what he can do as a filmmaker and what he can bring to the screen and what he is capable of. And the whole concept of this movie started from a fever dream he had, in which he saw a future in which machines took over, and he applied that to this film. Before I get to the star of this film, let's talk about these two. We have Linda Hamilton, who plays Sarah Connor, and Michael Biehn, who plays Kyle Reese, who is the protector from the future sent to protect Sarah Connor from the Terminator. And I just love the dynamic between those two, because Sarah Connor, she's just your typical lady from the 80s who wants nothing with all this and doesn't have any signs of true militaristic instincts or whatever. But then here comes Michael B from the future warning her, like, hey, this machine here, he is coming here to kill you because he wants to prevent your unborn son from ending the destruction of the machines that took over in the future. And at first, she thinks all that is kind of bullshit, but then as the movie goes along and the more she sees, the more she's truly on board. And for me, that carries over into the second film, which I'll get into more when we get to it. But Michael Biehn as Kyle Reese, he truly shines in this film as just someone from the future that has been in a war his entire life. I mean, it's been going on since before he was born. And then, of course, spoiler alert with the review, that he is basically the father of John Connor, who sent him to the future to protect his own mother. To me, that is just brilliant storytelling. And Kyle Reese, he had one of the best monologues in the movie that perfectly sums up the Terminator. He tells her straight up, it can't be bargained with, it can't be reasoned with. It doesn't know pity or remorse, and it absolutely will not stop until you are dead, which you can basically say that about Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, but for me, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he pretty much embodied that whole description right there. But of course, I gotta talk about the star of this film, Arnold Schwarzenegger as the title character. This is one of my favorite performances of his, though I do prefer him in the second film, but it all started here because in this movie, he is the villain, unlike in the second movie, he is the hero. But here, it just worked. Because for me, Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator in this first movie truly embodied, like, hey, he can't be bargained with, he can't be reasoned with, he doesn't know pity or remorse, and absolutely will not stop until you are dead. He is on a mission, he is here to take you out. And going back to James Cameron real quick, I just love his attention to practical imagery within this film, given how it's the 80s and we were still using practical effects, but for here, it just worked. Granted, it clearly looks practical by today's standards, but here you got to think, back in 1984, this was just impressive. Just the image of him looking in the mirror, trying to get himself together. Then he pokes the eyeball out, and we see the cyborg eye. Like, to me, that is both just haunting and impressive. And even down at the bottom where he see his living tissue, which is his skin, so he can pass off as a human, it's starting to rot a little bit to the point where he got flies flying around. Gotta give glory to the music real quick because the music is by Brad Fidel. Forgive me if I mispronounce his last name, but his music in this particular film is so iconic. You know that dun 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 dun. But not just that theme, just the music all around the film. Like it has that 80s synth within it, but it also has that haunting music that goes hand in hand with the Terminator. You know, the scene where he's in the hotel room getting himself together on his face, and you hear that dun 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 dun. Of course, the final act in this movie is probably my favorite aspect of this film because at the last second when we think we finally killed the Terminator, he comes back, his living tissue melted off, and boom, here he is in endoskeleton. And side note, this is one of my favorite designs for a robot character in a movie right here. I've always loved this right here, and it's just in the way they illustrate it in this final battle right here. It's just so haunting from the music, his movements. Sarah Connor does kill the Terminator at the end, but not before giving this iconic line where she says, "You're terminated, fucker." There's so much about this movie I can gush about, but odds are you've seen this movie. You know how brilliant it is, and kudos to James Cameron for how effective this movie was as a first entry. The Terminator absolutely gets the hands up emoji because it is a masterpiece. Thank y'all so much for watching. Have y'all seen The Terminator? Why'd I even ask again? Odds are you've probably seen it, but let me know in the comment section below how you feel about this movie and where does it rank within the other Terminator movies. This your boy Thankful B of The Lassiter Factor. Stay safe, wash your hands, and until next time, I'll be back.